Coaching in Session.
Your exclusive destination for unparalleled personal and professional growth.
With your host, Michael Rearden.
Whether you choose to live within limits or break free, your mindset journey begins here.
There's this thing called the beauty mindset. Beauty in our world today has been defined by many different factors. One of the factors is if I put a picture out, how many likes can I get? They're so beautiful. They're so handsome. They have a face of a model or of an angel. Maybe we can even look at things that can't be touched, like a voice. You can say, well, you have a beautiful voice. I know some people who listen to the podcast, they say I have a very podcasty voice. And to that, I say thank you. But then in the same regards, it doesn't matter if my voice is a podcast voice or not. I'm still going to do the podcast. But yet there is people who would define the work they do based on what other people say. So if someone's pretty, yeah, sure, they can be a model. But if someone's ugly, I can't be a model. If someone's a bad singer, they wouldn't do karaoke or they wouldn't be caught on stage on American Idol. Sometimes people, they want their 15 minutes of fame. Or sometimes people are delusional. Whichever one you are aware of it. But beauty has a factor that is unknown to some people, especially people who have been told otherwise. Because if I grew up in a household where my family and teachers and friends and siblings and they all said, hey, Michael, you're ugly. Michael, you're no good, or whatever, I would probably start to believe them. And maybe I would hold that same sentiment to today. I guess I'm not beautiful. I guess I'm not handsome. I guess I'll never be loved. There's this idea of beauty doesn't need someone else's approval. It just needs yours. And so I have this article here, The Beauty Mindset, Discovering True Beauty Beyond the Surface, because we need to get away from what the world is telling us about what beauty is and all the filtered images and all of these ideas of what beauty is and what beauty should be. Because there is going to be a factor that we're going to be talking about later, and it's going to be about relationships, about someone who's beautiful, someone who's extremely pretty or handsome. And there are factors that can make us like someone a little bit more. For example, ladies, maybe if a guy had maybe a little bit more money, maybe you might say, oh, he's a bit more attractive than someone else who doesn't have money. But then on the scale of looks, if we had to speak with an image consultant, they're the same exact number. So there's a factor that makes them more appealing. And the appealing can be about attractiveness and could be in the relativeness of beauty or handsomeness. So there are going to be factors that we look at on the surface, and then there's going to be factors that we look deep down, things that we can't see, maybe things that are superficial, materialistic things. That's why you probably heard the saying of gold diggers. Someone sees someone in a nice car, oh, I'm going to try to talk to them. Or maybe you see videos of like a guy going up to a girl and then the guy's talking to the girl and the girl's like, no, thank you, I'm not interested. And then the moment she sees the car and she's like, well, hey, cool. This is nice. Hey, I want to talk to you now, right? I want to see what I can get. What would you say is her beauty? Would you say, was it the initial attraction? Would you say it was, this idea that she likes a certain type of person? Or did everything shift the moment she switched up on the guy? Once she saw he had some type of materialistic thing. Now, in our world today, the mindsets are very different. Before, someone could have a nice car, something really nice. The majority of people will say, yeah, sure, yeah, it's nice that you have a car or whatever, but I'm more interested in how you treat me. I'm more interested in who you are as a person, not just what you can bring me in a lifestyle. Our world today, lifestyle is touted as the end-all be-all. If you're not living in a certain house and driving a certain car, then there's something wrong with you. But then again, is that beauty? Is that life? And so when we're starting to look at this article, it's broken down into so many different categories. And the first bit of, I guess you could talk about beauty, we're going to talk about image beauty, what a person looks like on the outside. Women wear makeup, men don't necessarily wear makeup. They used to, like back in the 1800s, I think it was 1800s, I think they wear makeup. But now they don't, right? Of course, there's actors who put on a little powder, things here and there, but men generally don't wear makeup. Men's beauty might be based on their appearance. Are they well kept, haircut? Maybe do they smell good, teeth clean? They have a interesting physique, meaning it might be toned or in shape and not fat and obese. Those things can be off-putting in the sense of, is he handsome? But for a woman, her beauty can be put on, as in the makeup. But then again, there are going to be women who do not wear any makeup and they're beautiful. So does the makeup make a woman more beautiful? Or does the mindset of a woman make them beautiful? That I don't need makeup to be admired, that I don't need makeup to feel right in my own skin. Of course, we look at a woman with makeup and a woman without makeup, and typically the woman with makeup is going to have an edge over the woman without makeup. Of course, there's going to be some exceptions to the rule. This is not to say that everyone who wears makeup is magically more beautiful than someone who doesn't, especially if they're not in the same barometer as the other person, because there's going to be different factors that might make another person more appealing. There's going to be factors like hair length, eyebrows, skin color, facial structure, bone positioning. All of these things factor in beauty, but that is surface level beauty. That is going to be either things that you can't change, their genetics, or there's going to be things that you can't change where it's because of makeup. I saw a video a long time ago. There was a video of it was an Asian girl. Not saying that there's other girls that don't do this, but it was an Asian girl. And she was like putting tape like on her cheeks and like pushing the tape up like toward her eye. So she had a different facial structure and she looked completely different after the makeup. And then sometimes you can even do like a whole makeup overhaul where someone just puts on so much foundation, they cake it on. And I'm talking about like they have different skin after, like their skin could be extremely porous and it could be a lot of big problems. And you could put so much makeup on where anyone can be beautiful in the sense of, wow, you look really nice because you have a lot of makeup on. Now, this is all the image stuff. You take an image, you Photoshop it, you put some filters, you let everyone know how beautiful you are, your smile, your nice clothes, and you tell everyone, hey, this is who I am. All the guys are going to see the girls like, whoa, you're so beautiful, to give you all this free attention in your DMs. And sure enough, it feels nice. But then again, you're looking for something different. You might not be just looking for the likes. You might not just be looking for the external validation. You might be looking for an acceptance that only you can give yourself, or maybe someone meaningful in your life can give you. I remember there was an Instagram model, it's a long time ago. She was extremely beautiful in the sense of she had wonderful pictures and she was sought after by many men. Again, very good looking girl. But what happened was she was depressed, even though she presented this life of livelihood and vigor and happiness. She ended up ending her life too soon. And you have to ask yourself, why would someone that is so beautiful do something so extreme? Well, beauty can be extreme. It can be deadly, and as it was for her. But then again, it's a standard for what girls assume other girls should be. If a girl looks a certain way or a guy looks a certain way, their status is presented in a way. Because if there's an ugly girl with no makeup and getting picked on and at school, in high school especially, everyone's going to say, oh, stay away from her. Why? Did you not get to know the person before you made your judgment call? No, most people don't. They look on what's on the outside, what's on the surface. And then now we get into what beauty is. Because if beauty is not so much of only what is on the outside, what we present to the world, the makeups that we put on, the muscles that we work on so hard and diligently, what is beauty? Maybe beauty can be, what type of soul do you have? What type of values do you have and that you walk with in your life and that you want to instill in others? And not so much instill in others, meaning you're forcing your values onto someone else, but in the mindset of my value is discipline. And so the people who are around you become disciplined because they're around you. I can't tell you how many young adults, especially when maybe they're in sports or something like that. If you have someone who has that value of discipline and hard work, it just kind of flows through everyone else like, hey, I'm going to be disciplined and I'm going to put in hard work just like that person too. It's just like if they're doing it, I can do it too. So this mindset can be shared and it can be a beautiful thing because people are growing because of it. No one's being broken down. But then again, if we look at beauty as a standard and we say that you're not beautiful because you're not this tall or you are not this weight, can we say that that beauty is positive? Well, we can look at beauty in multiple different lights, as I said earlier. The lights that we began with were that beauty is the picture, the outside. And then we start to look on what beauty is on the inside, what type of person they are, their soul, their character. These things can't be made up easily. I'm sure you probably heard of the saying, that person has a beautiful soul. They're not talking about their makeup. They're not talking about anything else. They're just saying this person has a beautiful soul. What is it about that moment made you look at their soul, not their appearance? Because we can look at someone's appearance on their wedding day. Wow, she looks so beautiful. I don't hear people telling the bride on their wedding day, oh, you have a beautiful soul. No, you look beautiful today. I love your dress. It's the outside. Why do we look at the outside and not the inside? Some of the most important, crucial parts of a marriage is what's on the inside, not on what's on the outside. Because she's not always going to have the makeup on. The guy might not be always groomed and have a suit on. They're going to have regular clothes and they might be ragged one day, just wearing some basketball shorts and a t-shirt. Are they still beautiful? Of course, they might be able to see the beauty within each other because they married them, and I hope that's the case. But why would someone get a divorce if that beauty was so strong in the beginning and then it changed? Did they stop being beautiful? Did they do something to be ugly now and today? Sometimes it can happen. Sometimes it happens with money, where money is a factor, and then the moment money is gone, you start to see the ugly side of someone else. So someone you might have thought was so beautiful and so attractive is now spiteful and neglectful and hurtful, and you are not going to put those words in the same category as beautiful. So then this person is no longer beautiful because they're exhibiting these traits. Well, we can start to look at this article a little bit deeper. I like to look on, what's skin deep and then what is on the skin. Because if we looked at what our beauty standard was, and if you just go to a person on the street, hey, what's your beauty standard? You just were super vague about it. They will probably give you the surface level. They will say, hey, I'm looking for someone 6 feet tall, six-pack abs, six-figure, um, you know, profit and money, annual salary. And again, they're not saying about their values. They're not saying that, hey, like I'm more interested in the person. They're looking on the outside. Of course, attraction is necessary initially, right? You kind of need the butterflies. You need the good conversations. You need to have some alignment. But it's not what's going to keep the marriage together. It's not what's going to keep you faithful to each other. There's something else. What is that something else? And so I started to do a lot of work on this because when we start to look at what life is, there's always something better. And this is the beauty mindset at work. where I can go on a wonderful trip. Let's say I go to Hawaii. And in Hawaii, beautiful mountains, beautiful views, beautiful time, beautiful people. But then again, I can go to Mexico and I can get beautiful views, beautiful water, beautiful people, beautiful experience as well. And so, is Hawaii more beautiful than Mexico? Or is Mexico more beautiful than Hawaii? Of course, this can be perspective. Maybe I had one good trip one time, and then another time I didn't have a good trip. And I can compare the trips and saying this trip was better than this trip for a certain reason. But let's take away the stimulus of something going wrong and saying that and something was so great. Which one is better? I think of a home. You might have built your dream home back in 2013. You built all of these wonderful things, a movie theater. You have all of these garages for your cars. You have maybe a nice kitchen with certain appliances, maybe a swimming pool, a game room, and you got everything that you wanted in your home. But then again, 2025 comes and you're like, let me look at some houses that are coming out today. You start to see different designs. You start to see bigger kitchens and bigger living rooms with vaulted ceilings. You start to see different types of swimming pools with jacuzzis and water slides. You start to see these movie theaters with all of these surround sounds and these extremely nice leather sofas. And maybe you didn't know that that was a possibility at the time. You just were going along with what was popular at the time. Because in 2013 versus 2025, the styles are going to change. The mindsets are going to change. And so, what beauty was for homes at the time might not be what is beautiful today. Some homes can be timeless. But then again, some homes can be outdated. Have you ever seen a home with dark cherry wood finish on their floors or on their cabinets? It creates a dingy feeling. But at one point, it was the thing. Everyone wanted it. Vinyl flooring. At some point, it was the thing. They even covered up their beautiful hardwood floors. Everyone wanted it. The trend, the style was telling them what was beautiful, what was it, what they should do. But then at some point, they say, you know what? Even though this was so great for a period of time, I want something else. And they will do a remake, a remodel. Maybe if you want to even put it into a person, no longer a home, they go out for a shopping spree, they get a spa day, they get different types of makeup, or they do surgery or something along those lines. They do something to enhance something that they feel could be better. Now, this is not to say that you can't enhance your life in certain areas, but beauty, if we want to put it in this factor of mindset, beauty is a factor that should be your idea of beauty, not what other people think. Because if you were beautiful on day one, what is day 10? Because if you said, hey, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm loving who I'm seeing, then sure, you can stay there. But if you're looking in the mirror and you're looking at someone that's ugly, and you're like, oh, I don't like this person, you can change. But then again, if you do something like a surgery, breast implants, butt things like a butt lift or whatever they call them now, like butt implants. You ask yourself, you do all of these things for what? For people to look at you in a different lens? Do you get these Botox so you can feel young a little bit longer? But then again, they say age is just a number, but beauty is just a mindset because you can be beautiful with wrinkles. I can't tell you how many beautiful souls I met who have wrinkles, how many beautiful souls who don't even understand how beautiful they are because they're living in a mindset that's very different in the world that we're living in. Because the world that we're living in is telling you what beauty is and what beauty should be and what you should be doing in order to be beautiful. But I find beauty to be the best for the people who defy what the world is saying. I'm going to choose what beauty is for me. I think of people now because we can look at homes, we can look at cars, and everything is more beautiful as time progresses. And then the people aspect, the person you marry, for example, maybe on your wedding day, as I was saying, they're dressed up so beautifully. They have a beautiful dress or they have a nice haircut, a nice suit, and they look the part. Like they look like someone you're like, whoa, this person is beautiful. You're extremely excited about spending your life with them. But then somewhere down the line, you become roommates and you lose attraction and you start to have a wandering eye. You start to look at other people, and the wife that you have is maybe still beautiful, but you find other women who are even more beautiful. Maybe they're younger. Maybe they have traits that your wife doesn't have. And this is not to say that only men do this, women do it as well. Because a woman can say, wow, he's way more handsome. Look at his hairline. Look at his lush hair or his lips or whatever, right? There are things that certain men might have and can be more attractive than maybe the man that you have. We look at movie stars, for example. I remember there was a video of Jeff Bezos' girlfriend and Leonardo DiCaprio was like there having a conversation with everyone. And you can see this girl was like, my God, Leo, I love you, Leo. Oh my goodness, you are my guy. Like you let me know and I'll be with you tonight. And Jeff Bezos is right there. Of course, Jeff Bezos has more money, but then at the same time, is that beautiful? To have your woman fawning over another guy. And you might be a guy who might not care, and that's fine. But then again, this is talking about the mindset of what beauty is. Because the beautiful soul might just be looking at because the beautiful person that we see, all makeup up, dolled up, whatever it be, we might just be looking at them for what's on the surface. Maybe what they can do differently. But then again, if we do the work, we do the value work, and we say, do they have the characteristics of the person I like? Do they have the values that I will like to have in a partner? And all of these things can say, yeah, sure, they have them. But do you just up and forego your vows because someone might be a few inches ahead or a few fraction points ahead of someone else? Well, I don't know what beauty is to you, but maybe beauty for me could be loyalty. Loyalty can be beautiful. When we're looking at this idea of beauty, it's more than just what's on the surface, because there's always going to be a bigger house, a more beautiful house, a more beautiful car, newer model, girls that are sexier, more voluptuous, guys that are taller, maybe more dashing. And all of these things can be enticing at the time. But then again, this is not to say that you should stick with what you have because you made a choice and it wasn't a good one. I'm not saying that you should feel stuck in your choice and your decision. I'm just saying that before you make your decision, you should do the work. You should do the work and ask yourself, are you picking someone because they're beautiful on the outside, or are they beautiful on the inside? Because no matter what happens on the outside, if they're beautiful on the inside, why would you want to leave them? Of course, mindsets can change, perceptions can change, and your view on life can pivot. And maybe you make a different choice, and where you were going in that relationship didn't transform into what you believed it would. Because sometimes in a relationship, you have two people that grow together, and sometimes you have two people that grow apart. Can you have a beautiful life with two separate people living two separate lives where they're supposed to be sharing it together? Maybe, maybe not. This is all to say about relationships. But today, the idea of beauty is talking about the mindset, because we can look at what beauty is on the outside and say, hey, look, beauty on the outside is makeup and this and that. And oh, wow, you're so beautiful. And this is very nice. And then we can say what beauty is on the inside, how they treat people, and are they doing the right things? We can say that that person might be more beautiful than the supermodel. in our world today, we wouldn't dare say that. We would look at someone who has an appearance of beauty and say, whoa, wouldn't that be nice to have? But what about the beautiful soul? Wouldn't that be nice to have in your life? And in this article here, where I'm talking about the beauty mindset, discovering true beauty beyond the surface, we talk about what the world is saying what beauty is today. And I go into detail about teens a lot in this article because teens are struggling with this today. And teens are going to wear makeup. They're going to feel like they have to do something to fit in, do the trends and everything because they want to be accepted. And this is an important thing to understand as you're reading the article, because if you grew up with any type of this mindset, at some point you probably changed it. But then again, the factor of what beauty is still going to be lingering in your mind because you're going to say, well, if I'm not looking a certain way, or if I'm not wearing a certain style of cloth, then I must not be beautiful. But then again, you can feel beautiful in who you are. But then again, you have to ask yourself truthfully, are you beautiful because you say so, or are you beautiful because you know so? For the people who, for example, who say they're big and beautiful, right? I'm big and beautiful, or I'm big and bold, or whatever. They're not taking accountability for their true beauty. But the moment they start to take accountability and they don't just simply say something to believe they're beautiful, and they're like, hey, I'm truly beautiful. We can look at Adele. We could look at Lizzo, people who have made transformations in their life. There's other actors, Seth. I think Robert Downey Jr. was overweight, I think, at some point too. And we can look at how they transformed their life. Of course, for men, it's a little bit different. They can look in the mirror and say, I'm a snob and I need to make some changes. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. But then again, women are more prone to just say, hey, I can throw up some makeup. I'm beautiful the way I am. I don't have to change for everyone. People should just like me. They live in a different world. They have a different mindset because they understand that they can be 100 pounds overweight and still get a guy at a bar, at night, at a club. And they think that just, that's what it is for them. So they are still accepted by other people in the world. But then again, men, they live a different life. They can't just be overweight and just be accepted by everyone. The beauty standard and what the world is saying is different between genders, but then it's going to be also different between mindsets. So you have to ask yourself, what type of mindset do you have when it comes to beauty? Do you see things on the surface or do you see things below it? If you're a person who can see things below it, then you can get down into the roots of what a person is and what a person truly stands for rather than what they put on every single day. Because anyone can put on a facade and make the world like them. But do they like themselves when they do that? Do they like themselves at the end of the day when no one is looking? Because if you ask yourself, hey, why do I put on this makeup? Do you put it on for you? Great. But do you put it on for you when you're by yourself in your house and you're not going out? If that's not the case, then you're doing it for someone else. So if you keep on doing things for other people at this idea of if I do it for them, maybe they'll give me a like or they'll give me some attention, then there's some disconnection between you and what life is. Because life can be beautiful. Life can be miraculous. The same view that I see that can have so many venture points and so many beauty points might be just a blah moment for someone else. We live in a fast-paced world where people are afraid to slow down because they have this fear of missing out. They would go from relationship to relationship or from home to home or from car to car because they want to be relevant. Beauty has no relevance. It's an understanding because maybe the person that maybe doesn't look the best or doesn't have the best appearance could be the most beautiful person in the world. But would you spend time to get to know a person that didn't have this initial outside attractiveness? We all have a bias, of course. We want to have the initial attraction to someone, especially in relationships. But in the sense of friendships, in the sense of partners, in the sense of just being a human today, can you say that you're truly looking for beauty?